Here they are. Who knew what when? This entire timeline is a little confusing, leading us to questions. When did the FBI director know? When did Attorney General Eric Holder know? Did they really not tell the White House? Was the White House unaware all this time? Was there national security or criminal conduct concerns in this process? Was classified information exposed? Was General David Patraeus compromised and capable of being blackmailed? And finally, should Patraeus have resigned? If there is no national security concerns and if there's no criminal conduct, is this affair enough to require the resignation of a guy that's universally applauded as one of the greatest generals in recent history? So let's start with you guys, come back to the table. Let's start with that last question first, Buck. Is this something on its face that says General David Patraeus should have resigned?
I think so, and it's because of a couple of things. One is, if this was it seems like this was happening while he was actually, most of it, while he was in the military. And under UCMJ, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, this is not allowed. A subordinate officer, somebody else, active duty in the military, engaged in this kind of behavior, would be in a whole lot of trouble. So he shouldn't be exempted from that because he's a more senior guy. So that's a big problem. And then on the agency side of things, you know, he didn't have to take that job. He could have, knowing what he obviously knew about himself with this affair, when they went through that confirmation process, I'm pretty sure at some point they asked the question, is there anything about you that would embarrass the White House? Is there anything about you that, you know, would be essentially conduct unbecoming? I can't imagine him getting through that process without having to say no to that question, when in fact we know that that's not a truthful answer. And I will say that, you know, Bernie Kerik, when he went in front of the Homeland Security Committee, or rather was up for the Homeland Security job, he got into a lot of trouble for his answers to the White House on his personal conduct. Now look, that was a criminal matter. This is, as far as I can tell, not a criminal matter. People can draw that very important distinction. But there's an ethical component to this too. There's a leadership component here. And he clearly knew that he was violating the standards that are set forth in that agency. And I think that, yeah, he's got to go.
Couple of quick details. So General David Patraeus says that this affair did not start until after he resigned from the military. Yeah. Secondly, it's not a crime for a CIA officer, apparently, to have an affair. But you're right, Buck. He may have filled out forms or said that he was doing nothing that would embarrass the agency.
But it's interesting,
Do you guys all agree with Buck that this, though, is something that requires his resignation?
It's interesting, though. They have actually changed the story on when the affair started. Initially, the stories that I read was that it ended before he became CIA director. Then I saw another story that said it started after he became CIA director. So we might be seeing some CYA.
If it was before, he was in the military.
That. But there's also a judgment component here. One, you are cheating on your wife. Two, you're cheating on your wife with your biographer. Three, you're cheating on your wife with the sort of person that will send threatening emails to other people that this person doesn't actually really know that well. I mean, there are a bunch of issues that come up here where it's like, it's very compromising. I mean, it looks very bad. It can lead to a bunch of terrible situations. Right. Best to get it out in the open.
You know, JP, let me ask you this, though. None of those characteristics you necessarily described are unique. Several have written today that these kind of details would have disqualified Dwight D. Eisenhower or Franklin Roosevelt from their offices if we held them to the same standard. So you're saying the CIA position might be different than those, or times have changed?
Well, I think times have definitely changed, especially the kind of media environment we're dealing with. I mean, at the time, the press could, you know, brush it under the rug and there would be no big deal. But now we live in a time where this kind of scrutiny is going to be happening. People will be reporting on it, and it's going to run the news cycle for a couple of days.
And we haven't even begun to discuss the Benghazi element of this, which I know we'll get into a little bit later. But his position on that upcoming investigation, I don't know how she got her hands on some classified documents pertaining to Libya. That's very worrisome.
She claims she has a clearance, actually.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's what she claims.
Very worrisome. And there's still a lot of questions we have to ask about this relationship that I do believe the public has every right to ask. This is not about salacious details or trying to get this, you know, sex scandal uncovered. This is real serious national security implications, and we should ask.
And to your point about, you know, comparing past presidents to our CIA director, presidents, they go up before the people, and they're elected, and our citizenry can decide if fidelity is or is not an important quality in the commander-in-chief. In the case of President Bill Clinton, he was very, very credibly exposed as a serial philanderer when he was running for president in 1992, and twice the people reelected him.
Right.
But David Patraeus was also, you know, he was asking people to put their trust in him as an appointed official, which I think gives him a bit different responsibility. But back to also the bunny boiling loose cannon bit of this, Emailing that lady right there, she's now telling the FBI. She probably told her husband. They probably told all their friends in Tampa. This woman who's under the desk and sending out crazy emails from all these different little accounts, do you think that she didn't tell anybody about what was going on? Right. So, in fact, they could have drawn lots of people into this scandal.
I always have the same thought when we hear something like this. You guys, and I don't mean you three at the table, yeah. Guys in general, I cannot believe how easy it is. I can't believe how easy it is to bat your eyes and shake your hips at a guy of his stature with so much to lose, so much discipline, so much at stake, and it's just that easy to dismantle an entire...
That's worth an entire show, much less a couple minutes left in this segment. But I have a question for you.